It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Deontay George now on the left wing, flips it over to Sensabaugh. He drinks the three, and he knocks it down from the baseline, and the Jazz lead 19-18. Collier against Chris Dunn, gets the elbow. Zubac comes out to meet him. Collier retreats, will step back, shoot the three over the top, and Zubac knocks it down. Oh, baby, it's raining threes tonight. 45-28, Jazz up by 17. Jazz on a 15-2 run. Gets into the left elbow, back up top to Collier. He'll take the straightaway three and knock it down. Isaiah Collier. Who says I can't shoot? Collier with the straightaway three, and the Jazz back up by 9.
They really are a group that just comes every day and does the work. They're all bought into their own growth individually. They're all bought into the growth of the team. It's a privilege to coach a group like that. They make it easy because I don't have to spend much time motivating. We get to coach the basketball. It's not spending 90% of our time trying to get guys to play hard. You know, there's moments where you have to rev them up a little bit, but that just comes with the territory. For the most part, though, I really don't find myself having to coach effort very much.
What a great bunch of guys, huh? Riley Jensen sitting in for David James Snigeldorf III.
It's a lot better to not have to coach effort and you win.
No, not now. Not this year. Not this year.
How many years?
Well, it might be 2 or 3, but
I'm getting old.
I understand that. But not now. Not now. This is the best of both worlds last night as the Jazz go into the All-Star break now at 13-41. I am not kidding. I've been stressing that. They had a 20-point lead. I was sweating it, man. They don't need to win. They have got to get a top 3 pick. Maybe they can get the top pick. Kid named Cooper Flagg out of Duke is the top pick. A couple of guys out of Rutgers, of all places. And second and third picks.
Rutgers?
Yeah. You remember Ron Harper?
Yeah.
His son.
Plays at Rutgers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For some reason, Ron settled in an upscale area in New Jersey. And so
Is he not from there?
I don't know if he's from there. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he settled there. His older boy played at Rutgers, and Dylan, this kid right now, freshman, is I've seen him play because obviously the Jazz are in the running for this pick, and watched him several times, and he's got a ready-made NBA body. A lot of these kids need to get strength and all that, and obviously he does too. And then there's a long drink of water, about 6'10", a kid named Ace Bailey, who he plays there. They don't have a very good team record-wise, but these two players are expected to go second and third. And Jazz need to get one of them. If they can get Flagg, that would be even better, obviously. But, have them play close games. They blew a 20-point lead, but it's somewhat common in this league. You got Powell and Harden there combining for 73 points. Game went in overtime, obviously, so you had some extra possessions there. And the Jazz had several of the guys play well. Several of their young guys play well. Filipowski, they sat. Kessler, he went for 20 and 10. I mean, he's a second-round pick. Went for 20 and 10. To me, that's very impressive. I don't know that he can do it all the time. And Collier has been doing his thing. And he's 16 points and 8 assists. Now he had 7 turnovers. That's just way, way too many, 7 turnovers. And he had 4 steals, though, so that's nice. Active, strong kid. Reminds me right now a little bit of Andre Miller. You saw how Andre Miller was just 6'2", but he played bigger.
True.
He had a thick body. He could get into the paint. He had good hang time. Wasn't the best shooter, but knew how to be a scorer and be effective. He lasted like 18, 19 years in the NBA, and obviously he was a superstar for the Utes. Keontae George continues to fire it up. 3 of 12. Keontae. I just like saying Keontae. It's like Beyonce. Keontae. I don't know what they got there. 9 assists, though. I like that. So the Jazz fall in overtime to the Clips, and now they're off until, a week from today? They got the All-Star stuff going on in San Francisco this week. Yeah, it's a week from today, ain't it? I think they play the Thunder. And so they need some more losses. They absolutely need some more losses because they have got to finish at least minimum bottom third. And we'll get to the NBA right now because it was a great night for the Jazz in that regard. So let's do it, Christian Okoye.
#NBA.
Curry doubled, finds the cutter. Draymond gets it to the right corner. There's Jimmy Butler. 3-ball right corner pocket. 71-53. Biggest lead of the night for Golden State is right now.
We're tied at 133. 2 minutes left in OT. McCollum for three! Left wing, good!
Christian James McCollum says, I got this.
He's got 41 now.
Out to Ware. He struggles and is stolen by Marshall. Took it right away from him. Ahead down to Exum. On the drive, he gathers and dunks.
And with it off the Jalen Clark screen. Pops on the left side. 3. He got it! Anthony Edwards was 0 of 7 to start this game from deep. He's now 3 for his last 4.
NBA action right there. I did not know, Christian sitting in producing for Yakamami, that the C in CJ McCullough stood for Christian until right then and there. Did you know that?
I did not. I did not.
Exciting news.
Yes.
One of us.
One of us, he says.
And he had 43 points. Now, why is that a big deal? It's because the Pelicans beat the Kings in overtime. And the Pelicans are one of the teams that are battling with the Jazz for the crummiest record. You've got the Wizards at 9 wins as we head into the break. They're just guaranteed. And they traded Kuzma over to Milwaukee. So they're all in on the Tankapalooza without question. And then you got 3 other teams now are at 13 wins. You got Charlotte and the Jazz and the Pelicans. And it is going to be a dogfight. One of those teams is going to get left out. You got to get in the bottom 3. And I'm worried right now because it's
a dogfight. It's a dog.
It is.
It's a real fight.
This is serious.
To make sure no one else wins.
Yeah. As I look at, and obviously I watch the Jazz every game. We all do. And to me, I don't watch the Hornets and the Pelicans with Zion. Is he in? Is he out? He's probably out. They traded Brandon Ingram over there to Toronto. They're serious about losing. And I can make an argument that if you just stacked up personnel, the Jazz got the best personnel of the 3. So they got to do some serious creativity here. They sat Kessler, and going forward, they've got to do some more sitting. That's just the way it is, man. That's the way the rules are set up. It sucks, and the league needs to do something about it, but they're not serious about doing anything about it. If they wanted to do something about it, all they got to do is just everybody has an equal chance. All the teams in the league, and we'll throw your name in a hat and just pick them out. And so
you think the conspiracy theories are bad now. Think if they did that.
Well, ping pong balls are out there with the same system that they use. You'd have equal chance as everybody else. If you wanted to get rid of it, you got it any other way?
No.
Yeah, so they're forced to tank. It sucks if your team is doing it, but there you go. You got to do it. And as you go through it, it's crummy. How about this? Dante Exum, 27 points on 11 and 13 shooting. Man, look at me now. The Mavs beat the Heat. Mavs been just besieged with injury. Gafford's out with an MCL sprain. Anthony Davis is out. Derek Lively's
Anthony
out.
Davis is out? That guy's like the bastion of playing through injuries.
He's not.
He's not?
No, you may be thinking of that USC running back in the 70s. No, in fact, he was having a great game in his first game and then goes down. And now could be out for an extended period. So we've got the All-Star Weekend in the city by the bay. Oh, my gosh. Riley J. No Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu in the shooting 3-point. The 2 stars, one from the WNBA, one from the NBA. Mike Bass, NBA spokesman, we weren't able to land on a plan that would raise the bar off last year's special moment. We all agreed not to proceed, and instead we'll keep the focus on the All-Star Sunday's new format. I don't even know what it is. I know, but who cares? We got maybe it's better this year because obviously that All-Star game itself has been a big drag for many years. You got the celebrity game. You got the Rising Stars tournament. Keontae, I think, is in that as a rising star. The All-Star Game Sunday at 6. The new format, 4 teams playing in the tournament to decide the winner. I hope it doesn't bomb for their sakes, because that All-Star Game has been a big old not watch. I couldn't even muster going across the street when it was here in town. But yet I like the other stuff. The Friday, Saturday stuff, to me, is entertaining. But the game itself has not been. All right, let's move on to the NFL.
#NFL.
NFL, it's official, man. Riley Jensen's favorite quarterback in the NFL of all time, Aaron Rodgers, is no longer going to be with the Jets.
It's the place quarterbacks go to die.
Oh, yeah.
That in Cleveland. Like, the worst place you can go is Cleveland or the Jets.
Kosar?
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
no one has lived as a quarterback there since Bernie Kosar. What, you going to pull out Brian Sipe on me? He was before Bernie.
He was. San Diego State, I might add.
Yeah.
One of DJ's heroes when he was a little boy.
I liked Brian Sipe when I was a kid.
I loved him to death.
I don't know why. It's just one of those guys that you're like, I like Brian Sipe.
Aaron Rodgers has, what's the word that I'm looking for, has eased the pressure. It's probably not what I'm looking for, but made it look better for the struggles of Zach Wilson.
Oh, yeah. I think there's plenty of examples of quarterbacks going there and not doing well, leaving and playing well. But, I mean, look at Geno, right?
Geno Smith now with Seattle.
Sam Darnold, too.
Sam Darnold's playing really well.
D. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers will play. He'll play a couple more years. He'll play better than he played at the Jets.
You think he will?
Yeah, I do.
What,
somebody will take a waiver on him.
Where do you think? There's talk of maybe the Rams if they get rid of Stafford.
So that's what I was thinking, is maybe the Rams. I could see them taking him. I could see the Saints need a quarterback right now. Bring in a new quarterback.
If I were him, I'd like
coach.
to go to the Rams.
Yeah.
They seem to be more ready, able to win.
Right.
And McVay he's hinted of getting out. So maybe he's not long for it. It's not building something.
What is his reason for wanting to get out?
Burnout. Too intense. Won a Super Bowl.
34 years old. Can't take.
John Madden did that. Right? Did he go 10 years with the Raiders and got out?
I guess it's a good point nowadays. I mean, you get a little bit of experience in the NFL and then go be an announcer. You can make millions of dollars a year as an announcer.
I mean, it's
a lot less pressure. Show up on, Friday for a Sunday game?
I think it's a little bit more than that, but it's only during the season.
Right.
Whereas coaching is
I'm saying it's
year-round.
I'm not saying that it's not a hard job. I'm saying that it's not as hard as being a head coach.
No. And obviously it's not the pressure. If you're good, you're good. And you can ride that wave. And and whatever he wants to do with his life, I'm all for it. If he wants to get out at a young age, so be it. He got in at a young age. Good for him. I got no problem with that. And Jets, 2 remaining quarterbacks. You got veteran Tyrod Taylor, who seems like he's been around forever, and Florida State's Jordan Travis. NFL releases a list of 329 prospects are invited to the Combine in Indianapolis. The locals are Jalen Royals, which makes sense, Keithy, I hope he's healthy, Tafuna and Karenni Reed, and then you got Tyler Batty. And they're saying Travis Hunter will attend as a corner, not as a wide receiver. Do you know? How about this? Who was your Big 12 champions, Riley Jensen?
The Big 12 champions this year?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Can't remember. Oh, I know. It's my favorite team that I've always loved. Arizona State.
Yeah, man, we went to get that and find that.
Yeah, you never found it. Because I've never said anything bad about Arizona State.
But I don't know where to look. That was up to Hatch. I forgot to ask him.
I never said bad things. I don't know why you have these memories of me ripping on Arizona State. I'm going to text
Hatch right during the break. Well, they only got one guy. One guy gets sent.
Who?
Oh, Scattaboo.
Okay, he made it. Then.
Yeah, that's it.
So you can make it to the college. You can make it to the college playoff And you only got one player that's going to the program. Okay, so he's either the best coach in America or their players are underrated.
Or maybe they just don't have a lot of seniors this year or talent leaving. Maybe they got a lot of guys coming back.
I think of they're too deep. They've got 34 of the 42, something like that. So they do have a lot coming back, yeah. They're the DB Simmons should have gone. I mean, he was a guy who was suspended for a dumb targeting, and then he gets in there and the first play he roughs up the quarterback and fumble, and they get a safety. He's a player.
Deion's son didn't get invited?
Yeah, I understand that. And there's plenty of guys you can make the NFL. It's not like it's the end of the world. All right, let's move on to college football.
#Utah.
Spring ball for the Utes. Now, the Cougars are coming up in 2 weeks from yesterday, so down to 13 days. The Utes, they're going to push it back. Sometimes they start before spring break and then interrupt spring break. This year, they're starting on Thursday, March 20th. And their Forever 22 spring game, which they charge now, will be Saturday, April 19th. I'm super intrigued about their training camp, their spring ball this year. Normally not so much because they've been a model of stability and consistency. But now with that new offense with Jason Beck, let's see what you got there. So I don't know if they're going to let us see. But used to be you can go practically stand in the huddle several years ago. So all spring ball used to be open to the media. And sometimes it would be open to the public if it was outside and the weather was okay. But I don't know what they're going to do there. So spring ball for the Utes will begin on March 20th. That's after spring break.
What do you think about these coaches not wanting to have the game televised and shown?
I think it's paranoia, but
yeah.
Whatever.
Because they don't want people recruiting their players in the portal right after spring ball gets done.
Yeah, well, then you recruit. If you take mine, I take yours. No, I mean, everyone's even. But if they don't want to do that, fine. I don't care. There's so many things that are crazy about it. I try not to get into that. There's talk of that this spring ball is going to go away, and they're just going to have, like the NFL, what they call the OTAs for 3 or 4 times 5 times during the offseason instead of having actual 3 weeks of 15 practices. Yeah. All right, let's get some hockey, and we'll be done.
#NHL.
All right, how about this? The U.S. of A. punking Finland 6-1. The Tkachuk brothers, that's how you say it, right?
There's a K in there. I think it's Tkachuk. I think the T might be kind of silent.
Okay. Matthew and Brady led the way with 2 goals each. How about that? I watched a little bit of it early. Because it started at 6, and then the Jazz started at 7. So from 6 to 7, I watched it. They had some introductions and also didn't get started right at 6. So no games today. The round robin continues tomorrow. Finland will play Sweden at 11 a.m., and USA will face Canada at 6. And those games have all been on television, I think. And that runs through Thursday. I think Thursday's the final. So we got several more days of that as the NHL is on their break also. What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. We got RSL's coach, Pablo Mastroeni, coming in. They made a ton of moves in the offseason. That's in about an hour. Coming up next, we got a thing that we got to hit. We were going to hit it the other day, but the Tom Homo news broke. A lawmaker introducing a bill to see about having the universities pay the kids directly, get rid of this song and dance, and he'll join us next. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
The general manager of the Utah Jazz, Justin Zanuck. Ramona Shelburne had a report that said that the organization was unaware of the principal actors involved in the Laker trade that brought in Luka. Are there some times when you get a phone call from a couple teams and said, hey, we're working on something. Would you be willing to shift this and take on this second and things like that without really knowing what's going on behind the scenes?
It depends on your level of the team. So if we were playoff competitive this year, sitting in the 4th, 5th, 6th seed halfway through the season, I'm darn sure going to want to know what's going on with 2 other teams that are in the playoffs with me. As a facilitator in this deal where we're not going to make the playoffs and, these opportunities where we can collect assets for basically free, then I don't need to know. In that case, there's multiple teams that would be a facilitator. All we're focused on is the Utah Jazz and maximizing opportunities for us.
Catch Hanson Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Take DJ and PK wherever you go. Find every moment of every show in podcast form by searching DJ and PK on your favorite platform. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Joining us now, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone, is Utah Representative Jordan Tuescher from South Jordan. Mr. Tuescher, you have a proposal that you would like to see get some legs. Could you tell us what it's about?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This proposal, it's House Bill 449, deals with student athletics and ensuring that our state universities and private universities could directly compensate student athletes for their name, image, and likeness.
So what is the advantage to this bill as far as like the consumer goes? Is this because up to right now, like if I donate to the university, I can get a tax write-off, but I can't if I'm participating in NIL?
Well, no. So right now, universities do not pay athletes directly. So most of the NIL money that's going to these athletes are coming through collectives. But as part of the House settlement that was given preliminary approval back in October, the idea was that these institutions would start having a revenue sharing model. But currently in state code, we don't have any provisions for that. So this would allow for the universities to pay directly to athletes. And if the House settlement doesn't get final approval, it sets up a path for the universities to move forward on their own without that settlement in place.
Okay, suppose the settlement does get approved, because I think in talking with athletic administrators and coaches, they've been anticipating that would happen.
Yeah, I think everyone was hoping it would. I think in the talks that I've been in, it's looking less likely that it's going to get approval. There's been a lot of last-second opposition to the approval and some curveballs in terms of how Title IX would apply to it.
Right.
And so a lot of other states with big institutions like Ohio or Virginia, Connecticut, et cetera, are moving forward with a similar path that we're doing in Utah. And that's really the intent of this bill, is to make sure that our institutions are ready to compete at the highest levels and that they don't have any disadvantages because our laws aren't up to date.
Do they? And I don't know. I'm not familiar with all this, but the NIL world is moving so quickly. Are high school athletes allowed to pay? Are they allowed to be paid?
They are. There's no provisions in Utah law that would prohibit that. We looked into it, and right now they could receive compensation.
Interesting. So I guess this whole bill is just really interesting to me, because then the schools can take it into their own hands. But I guess there's always is there a question of liability for these schools once they pay someone? So, for example, let's just say that institution pays me $100,000 a year and I squander it and I don't pay my taxes and I go to jail. Is there going to be any liability for universities in that situation?
That's a good question. I know as we looked last year, we passed the first NIL legislation in the state that really kind of set up the guardrails around that. And one of the things that we were looking at is ensuring that athletes were sharing those agreements that they were having with collectives with the universities so they could help prepare them, let them know what sort of responsibilities and obligations they had, like paying taxes, for example, on that. And so I think you'll see the same thing. These universities are really starting to pitch themselves not just in, hey, we can get you to the next level, or hey, we can get you a great education, but also, hey, we can prepare you for life. We can teach you these skills. We can teach you how to open a bank account and how to take care of your money. And all of that, I think, will be combined in with the compensation that may come to athletes.
Jordan Tuescher, Utah Representative from South Jordan, joining us. How would that work in terms of them being the athletes being labeled as employees then, if you're getting paid directly from the university?
That's a great question. So in the bill itself, we specifically state that the contract between the institution and the student athlete does not create an employment relationship. And so this would be similar like if an athlete was receiving a scholarship from the university. They're getting compensation, but that doesn't mean that they're an employee.
Right. And then I'm wondering, have you had conversations with athletic directors, administrators, those types, to be able to get a better feel for what they're looking for?
Yep, absolutely. So we've been meeting monthly with all of the major universities across the state, the University of Utah, BYU, Utah State, Southern Utah University, et cetera, to talk through what are their needs and how do we ensure that our state law is not getting in the way from them to be able to compete at the highest levels. And, as you said, the landscape is constantly shifting. And we're just trying to keep up with it. When we talked in December, it was looking like, well, there probably isn't a need for legislation. And as things were not moving as well with the House settlement, when we met again in January, the decision was made, yep, let's move forward with this legislation. So we're in complete lockstep with what we're moving forward with and how what our institutions want in this legislation.
Do you foresee an opportunity to where, rather than a state level, because then it becomes I don't know that you ever get a level field, a playing field, so to speak, but anything that would be, everybody would be abiding by the same rules across the country?
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. It really has been the wild, wild west for the last couple of years and trying to figure out what's going on. And, if I had a crystal ball, I'd look at it. I think eventually it's just going to turn into a licensing deal because I think it's going to become a real headache for these institutions. And how do you deal with football differently than men's basketball and women's rowing and soccer and everything else? And so it is shifting. I think most people are kind of lament the change, that it isn't really student athletics anymore. But the bottom line is we want to make sure that we're not at a disadvantage compared to any of these other universities, and we'll just keep up.
And how would this work with the Title IX? Because obviously that has been a big deal for many, many years.
Yeah, no one really knows right now. That's the real question. At the beginning of January, right as the Biden administration was leaving, they issued an opinion that they felt like these NIL payments, that Title IX should apply to them. And that has put a real curveball into everything. And the Trump administration may decide to change that, but it's really anyone's guess at this point.
If this thing were to happen, then would it be up to the universities? I mean, obviously, the quarterback is going to deserve more money, theoretically anyway, than the long snapper or whomever. Would it be up to the individual teams to decide who gets what and how much they get?
Yes. Yep. The individual universities would figure that out. And as I've talked with him, it sounds like, they want to come up with kind of a formula that makes sense across the board. When you start paying people different amounts, that can cause some problems within the team camaraderie. And my guess is you'll see pretty consistent payments to the athletes where the big money's coming still through the NIL deals and the collectives.
Right. That was my next thing, is that how would that affect what already, it's only been a few years, but the existing methods that we have now? Yeah, I think it will be an all-in approach. And what we saw from the settlement is really this idea that the universities were making money off of the athletes and unfairly enriching themselves. And so ensuring that some compensation that's coming back to the university is going to the athletes is going to be important, but at the same time, allowing the athletes to go out and monetize their name, image, and likeness with contracts with car dealerships or any other company or fans across the fan sphere that wants to donate to those athletes will continue to be an option. Take us through the legislative process for those, including myself, who aren't up to date in terms of when you introduce it, how does it work to get to where it needs to go?
Yeah, so this bill was officially made public about a week ago, and we have a 45-day session. We started the day after Martin Luther King Day. We go 45 straight days, so we'll end by March 7th. This bill's been assigned to the House Education Committee, so we're hoping sometime next week that that committee will take it up. Once the committee passes it, we go to the House floor and repeat, assuming it passes the House, go over to the Senate, do the same thing. So all of that will happen in the next 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, that is South Jordan, Utah Representative Jordan Tuescher. That's kind of funny. You know, his name is Jordan, and he's a representative from South Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
that's crazy.
It's like the Christian thing this morning that you were talking about. Like, I mean, the coincidences are off the rails this morning.
They really are. I mean, the coinkydinks are just unbelievable. What's your favorite coincidence?
Coincidence?
Yeah, I mean coincidences, man. Everybody likes coincidences, right? If you have a coincidence. It's like it is something that's brings a kind of at least a
I think it's no coincidence that you guys brought me onto this show in 2004 to make fun of me as the Aggie under the bleacher, and it's evolved into something really, really great and really fun. And because I was willing to put my pride aside and be made fun of as the Aggie under the bleacher, it grew into something great.
Well,
I was willing to risk my own ego. No coincidence.
I think you have to step back and look at me.
Okay, I'd like to. I'm looking at you.
You're lucky. And I
feel almost like Jackie did.
For 23 years now, have made Nerd Boy look good.
Right.
That. I deserve universities to pay me.
Hey, that thought is not lost on me. I texted you yesterday or 2 days ago, and I said, thank you so much for making me look good.
Right. So
because that's what you do.
You're easier. You're trying to do that every day with stats. You just think stats are the be-all and end-all?
You're a little bit like the Magic Johnson of sports radio, which, by the way, you could have played in any era. But you make everybody around you look better. I mean, some days you have to carry the load and you have to score 30. Some days you have to get 20 assists. Some days you have to go get 15 rebounds.
Oh,
sometimes you have to shoot a baby hook just to win the game for us.
Baby hooks. I love myself some baby hooks.
Of course you do. You and Larry the Laker.
In the
Give me
Boston
gas.
Garden.
Give me freaking gas. These guys.
All right, Jordan Tuescher talking about paying. I mean, they're going to get to that at some point, I think. And we're going through like a dog and pony show now, and we're going to get to that point. And so go ahead. And it's always going to be, to a degree, the Wild Wild West, because whatever loophole or law or whatever, these schools are going to find ways to so-called cheat.
Yeah.
Cheating in the name of winning is not cheating.
I think my original question to him, where I said, is it going to allow people to be able to write off their donation?
Yeah.
I actually think it's true now. Like, if that passes, because now you can make the payment to the institution then pays the athlete, and you can write it off. That's one of the problems with the collectives right now, is if I donate to the collective, I don't get to write that off because it's a private entity. If I donate to BYU, if I donate to Utah State, if I donate to University of Utah, and then they pay the athlete, that can be written off. So I do think that my original question, the answer is yes, based on the way he explained it.
I was speaking yesterday, and I said that after the Devils beat BYU in that wild finish, I slipped the AD at ASU at 20.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it like one of those ones where you shake his hand and you just got a 20 and he was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your donation? Or
no, I hugged his neck. Vigorously.
What is this, Joseph in the Technicolor? What is this, Joseph seeing his family again? You fell upon his neck?
Donnie Osmond does follow me on Twitter.
Speaking of Joseph in the Technicolor Code.
Exactly.
I did see Donny Osmond when I was a kid. I saw Joseph in the Technicolor coat with Donny Osmond.
Oh, nice. I saw
great production.
He and his sister at in Vegas. Like the longest.
Did you slip him a 20?
I was.
You're enjoying the show.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get near him. All right, Riley's he's got a cool thing coming up that he wants to tell us that's going to happen in April, and it's very inspiring. We'll get to that next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invent a food line that you just invent by putting stuff in your pocket, and that's how it gets heated up. No,
we don't need appliances.
Yeah, put it under. But have you ever seen those like Indian street food Instagram videos? I go down that rabbit hole sometimes.
What does the algorithm say about us?
I know. There's some weird stuff that pops up. Mine is all sports and food stuff.
That'd be accurate. If I had to guess, that would probably be accurate.
And I do the thing, too, where I'm like, I like that recipe. I'm going to send it to myself. And then I see myself in the mirror as I walk by something in a building. I go, who are you? What are you? What's your problem? That's me. I've started to do that. I send myself Instagram recipes that I can try out on the weekend. I've become like a segment on Studio 5, breaking it out. And I saw this on Instagram. I wanted you to try it. My goodness.
You start your own cooking show.
Oh, I like to cook. I'm one of those guys.
Can you do a cooking show on the radio?
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
One of the coolest stations in the world.
Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio show for over 20 years.
Everyone's listening.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Band of the Day brought to you by Live Nation. Today is Valentine's Day, so we're playing all your favorite lovey-dovey songs. For all the live concerts and events in 2024, check out livenation.com. You were an Aggie. You were under the bleachers. What love song gave you the most success?
Hey, that one right there I just flew back to Snow College circa 1996. I thought I was the stuff weekends were made of back then.
Yeah, you're the stuffing that your weekends are made of.
I'm the stuff. Listen, you have to have a little bit of an ego to play quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you're going to take some lumps, too.
I played quarterback at Seacrest Hall freshman team for the intramurals.
You got to have a little bit of ego because people will come at you.
Number 18.
Number 1 on the number 18 on the field, number 1 in our hearts.
Guy
That's who you were.
Yells at me. And he says, I'm open.
Oh, wow. So you felt the pressure of being a real quarterback.
I screamed at him. I said,
every wide receiver I've ever met is always open.
Well, that's the thing. This is flag football, and everybody has flags.
Yeah.
I said, you're supposed to be an offensive lineman. I'm not supposed to throw to you, you fool. So, yeah, you're open because you're letting the guy ahead of you get in my face. And it was a play where I had a running back in front of me, right? And he was supposed to pick up blitz protection in flag football. We're freshmen. I'm 17 years old. I don't turn 18 until after my first semester.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I was
You and Jackson Dart.
I was way too young.
You and Jackson Dart are like the two that have ever done that.
Way too young. Way too young.
To be at Arizona State?
Actually, I was at Northern Arizona.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right.
And so they call a late hit. And the joke was the late hit was my guy who, a bigger, older dude, ran into him. My running back was supposed to pick him up, ran into me. The ref sees me go down after I throw the ball. They throw a late hit, and it was actually my guy who ran into me because the other guy ran into him. And
yeah, that happened in the Super Bowl. That was one of the picks that Mahomes threw.
The doof was supposed to block, and he's yelling at me that he's open.
And that's what Patrick Mahomes was saying. The doof was supposed to block.
I know. All right, you got something coming up in April. Tell us about it, Riley Jensen, because it sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm actually incredibly excited for this event. It's a morning of resilience, grit, and overcoming adversity. There's 3 speakers, not me, but 3 really interesting speakers. Chris Williams, who many of you know, a big portion of his family was killed in a drunk driving accident. Dr. Don Van Borum and Heather Van Borum, Heather was the lady who at the Costco on 53rd South was run into and lost her legs in an accident. And then Dr. Darren Watts, who fell in the bathroom in Germany and was rendered quadriplegic for quite some time and has since been able to overcome some of that. These people are speaking on the morning of April 16th at 10 a.m., and we're doing it at the new Daybreak ballpark at America First Square. We're not doing it on the field. We're doing it in the suite above, like overlooking everything.
Sure.
And I just think it's going to be an incredibly inspiring day. I'm super excited about it. It's brought to you by the Larry H. Miller Group and RJ Performance Group. And I'm actually going to tweet it out right this second.
Yeah, go ahead.
For people that want to bring some of their people from their business. It's going to be from 10 to 1. It'll include a lunch there at the ballpark, and you can bring your business people. It won't take up the whole day, but it's a morning where you can feel inspired and you can feel the kind of the spirit of overcoming adversity. We're all going through something. Like there's nobody that you know that isn't experiencing some sort of adversity. And when you hear these stories, when you hear the story of Dr. Watts, Heather Van Borm, and Chris Williams, I think what it does is it tells you, gosh, if these people can persevere in their circumstances, I can handle my situation too. And so I'm way excited about it. I just tweeted it out at Riley Jensen on Twitter. You should be able to find it at www.rjpg.net. Or if you want to email me, riley@rjpg.net, and find out how you can be involved, find out how you can sponsor the event, or how you can get some of your employees to this event. I think it's going to be an awesome morning.
Very nice. There you go. April 16th. Very inspiring, too. You will come out of there motivated and feeling like maybe you can tackle all the problems, because you're right. Everybody's got something. Some are worse than others, but we've all got something, no doubt about it. All right, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to Pablo Mastroianni about RSL. They get going here next week. And also, too, we want to talk about, on the other side of the break, sports fatigue. Is it real? We'll get to that next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.